All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're looking at something pretty interesting and important,
Yeah,
especially nowadays, more and more. And it has to do with sustainability.
absolutely.
And we're going to be looking at Fraser's Property Thailand. You might know them as FPT,
Yeah, FPT.
and specifically their ESG journey
ESG is huge.
is huge.
Yeah.
So if you are into business and if you are into, the future of business especially,
Yeah.
this is the place to be because we're going to be looking at what it means for a company to really, walk the walk, not just talk the talk when it comes to this whole
Yeah, greenwashing is a real thing.
ESG thing. And FPT has been racking up some pretty impressive accolades
They have.
when it comes to ESG.
Yeah, they've been recognized all over the place for their commitment.
So we're going to break down exactly what that means,
Yeah.
what they're doing and why it matters.
It's a great case study to look at how
Exactly.
to do it right.
And what's super interesting is that they've actually been the first in Thailand's real estate sector
Wow.
to achieve some of these things.
That's huge.
Stay tuned. We're going to get into all of that good stuff.
Let's dive in.
So, like I was saying, FTT, they've been recognized for their commitment to these ESG principles
Yeah.
for 5 years in a row now.
That's a long time.
That's a pretty good track record, right?
That's not just a one-off.
Yeah.
That's them embedding it
Yeah.
in everything they do.
It shows that they're serious
Yeah.
about this. And it's not just like a PR stunt or
Totally.
anything like that.
5 years is a real commitment.
Exactly. And what I find super interesting is that they've received recognition, not just like in Thailand,
Right.
but internationally too,
They're getting recognized by global organizations.
from global sustainability standards. So
Exactly.
that's a pretty big deal, right?
It means they're not just meeting local standards.
Yeah.
They're exceeding them.
So let's talk about some of these
Yeah, let's get into the details.
specific milestones here.
Okay.
So one of the things I know they got recognition from
Yeah.
was the Science-Based Targets Initiative,
Yes. SBTI.
which is also known as SBTI.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah. What is that all about?
So SBTI is really interesting because it's not just a company saying, hey, we have these goals.
Yeah.
It's a third party coming in and validating those goals.
Yeah.
And they're saying, yes, these goals are ambitious enough
Okay.
to align with the latest climate science.
So you're not just making up goals. You're actually having them
You have to get them approved.
vetted, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
And so FTT is the first one in Thailand's real estate sector
Huge.
to have their near-term targets validated
Which is even more important.
by SBTI. So that's pretty huge.
It's not just long term. They're
Yeah.
taking action right now.
Exactly.
It's not just lip service.
It's like, okay, what can we do right now to get us towards our long-term goal?
And that's what investors want to see. They want to see action.
Exactly. Not just promises.
And then on top of that, they've also
They have.
achieved this AA level set ESG rating.
Yes.
Now that sounds
That's a big deal.
really important. What is that all about?
So that rating comes from the Stock Exchange of Thailand.
Okay.
And it's basically looking at a company's overall sustainability performance.
So it's kind of a holistic thing.
Exactly. And AA is the second highest rating you can get.
Wow.
So that means FPT is really a leader in ESG.
So it's not just about, the environment.
No, it's everything.
It's
Put it that
social.
way.
It's all of that stuff.
all of it.
Yeah, so it's pretty impressive. But we've been talking a lot about ratings and recognitions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What are they actually doing
Right. What's the substance behind the ratings?
to get these amazing results? So let's dive into some of the specifics. One of the things that FPT is doing really well is focusing on creating positive impacts,
Okay.
not just for their business, but for communities in the environment.
So it's like a triple bottom line.
Exactly. They're not just looking at profits. They're considering people and planet as well.
And you mentioned earlier GISB.
Yes, GISB is a big one.
What exactly is GISD?
So GISB is a global real estate sustainability benchmark.
Okay.
It's used by investors to assess the ESG performance of real estate companies.
So they're basically ranking all the different real estate companies
Exactly.
in terms of their ESG stuff,
And FPT got an A rating.
which is amazing.
That's the top tier.
Wow.
And it covers everything.
Okay.
From energy and water usage to their supply chain.
So is that like the materials that they're using to build the buildings?
Exactly. Making sure that those materials are sourced sustainably
Okay.
and that the people working in their supply chains are treated fairly.
So they're thinking about all of these different...
It's all interconnected.
Yeah. stakeholders.
And another important aspect is human rights,
Okay.
making sure they have strong policies in place to protect human rights.
So again, it's not just about
It's not just about the environment.
being good for the planet.
Right. It's about people.
It's about being good
Social responsibility.
to your workers,
Yeah.
to people who are,
They're stakeholders.
involved in the process and everything.
Absolutely.
And one of the things I think is really cool about FPT
Yeah.
is that they're very transparent about
The transparency is key.
all this stuff, like they're actually putting out
They're putting their data out there.
the data.
Yeah.
So they're publicly disclosing all this data
Yeah.
about
Which builds trust.
their sustainability goals.
Absolutely.
And it's not just like,
the vague statements.
we're doing great.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's numbers.
here are the numbers.
Here's our emissions.
Here's our water usage.
Here's our energy consumption.
Here's how much energy we're using.
Yeah.
So you can actually
Yeah.
track
You can hold them accountable.
their progress and stuff.
Exactly.
So that's really cool. So not only are they doing all this great stuff, but they're also being very open about it.
And that's what sets them apart.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And I know that they've actually set some really ambitious goals.
Oh, yeah. They're not stopping there.
For the future.
So
They're aiming for net zero carbon emissions by 2050.
net zero carbon emissions
A big goal.
by 2050. Now, that sounds like a really long time away.
It is.
But in terms of,
Time.
business and these big changes that need to happen,
You need a long-term vision.
it's really not that far away.
No, it's right around the corner.
So break it down for me. What does net zero actually mean?
So net zero means that FPT will balance
Okay.
the amount of greenhouse gases they release into the atmosphere with the amount they remove.
So it's not just about
It's not just about reducing.
releasing.
It's about neutralizing
Yeah.
their impact.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
Think of it like a scale.
okay.
On one side, you have emissions from their operations, things like the energy used to power their buildings.
Yeah.
On the other side, you have actions they take to reduce or remove emissions.
So like investing in renewable energy.
Exactly, like solar panels on their buildings
Okay.
or planting trees to absorb carbon dioxide.
So they're kind of offsetting.
Exactly, they're offsetting their emissions.
Okay.
And what's really impressive is that their net zero goal includes not just emissions from their own operations,
Okay.
but also emissions from their supply chain.
So the materials again?
Yeah, the materials
Okay.
and the use of their buildings.
So like the tenants who are living in the building.
Exactly. So even if they make their buildings super energy efficient,
Right.
they're still considering the impact of the people living or working in those buildings.
So it's very holistic.
Very holistic.
It's the whole picture.
They're taking responsibility for their entire footprint.
And this is what's called scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions. Right?
Yes, exactly. Scope 1 is their direct emissions.
Yep.
Scope 2 is indirect emissions from the energy they purchase. And Scope 3 is everything else.
Wow. So they're thinking about all of it.
All of it.
That's amazing.
It's ambitious.
And it aligns with that whole like 1.5 degrees Celsius
Exactly.
goal, right?
The Paris Agreement,
Paris Agreement.
trying to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees.
So they're not just like
It's a global effort.
doing their own thing. They're actually part of this
They're contributing to a bigger goal.
global movement.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. Okay. So
It's inspiring to see.
we've talked a lot about the E
Mm-hmm.
in ESG. What about the G?
The G is important too.
Governance.
The governance.
What's going on there?
So on the governance side, FPT received the highest level excellent
Okay.
or 5-star corporate governance rating
Wow.
from the Thai Institute of Directors Association.
What is that?
So the Thai Institute of Directors Association, or IOD,
Yeah.
is a well-respected organization that evaluates companies on their governance practices.
So it's not just like some random
No, it's a big deal.
organization.
It's a reputable organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, so getting a 5-star rating from them is a big deal.
So what does this tell us about FPT then?
It tells us that they're committed to transparency,
Okay.
accountability, ethical decision-making,
All the good stuff.
all the things that make a company trustworthy.
Yeah. So it sounds like they're really trying to,
You're walking the walk.
weave this whole
Like
sustainability
cover their DNA.
into every part of their business.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about
It's not just a separate department.
the environment.
It's integrated into everything they do.
It's also about how they make decisions,
Yeah.
how they treat their employees,
They're stakeholders.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
So to recap, FPT is getting all these awards.
Mm-hmm.
They're setting these ambitious goals.
Yeah.
And they're actually backing it up
Yeah, they're walking the walk.
with real actions and data.
Transparency is key.
Yeah.
It really is.
I'm really impressed by what they're doing.
It's inspiring.
What do you think?
I think it's a great example for other companies to follow.
Could this actually inspire,
I hope so.
the rest of the real estate sector
Yeah,
in Thailand and maybe even beyond?
I think it has the potential
Yeah.
to create a ripple effect.
Yeah, what if everyone started doing this?
Imagine the impact.
That would be amazing.
It would transform the industry.
Well, I think that's a great note
Yeah.
to end on. That's definitely something for our listeners
Some food for thought.
to think about.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us on this deep dive into FPT.
It's been a pleasure.
And until next time,
See you later.
see ya.